Guys, we are coming to you from Monument Circle for the Indianapolis Qualifiers. We're talking Season 8, Episode 3 of American Ninja Warrior, so stick around and talk about it.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
I'm a ninja, I'm a bloody ninja.
I'm a bloody ninja?
It's a hoodie ninja.
Oh, a hoodie ninja.
Oh, this always gets me so hyped. So hyped. Guys, we are talking Season 8, Episode 3, just like you heard at the top of the show, of American Ninja Warrior. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Ty Matthews. You guys can find me, as always, on Twitter, on Instagram, various other social media platforms, at Ty Matthews, PMA. And as always, my lovely, talented co-host.
Lovely, talented co-host Chris Howard here to serve you here this evening. You can find me at Chris Howard Live on Twitter and Instagram. I love the way you dance, Ty.
So
by the
good.
Way. And he knows how to tie one on. But in any case, you can also reach me at legendarylivingdaily.com for tips, news, inspiration, all sorts of fun stuff, and legendarylivingtv.com for YouTube. Big show tonight. Huh?
You know, we got that. You see, we got LA out of the way. We got the ATL out of the way. We are in Indianapolis at Monument Circle. Let's get into these qualifiers.
Boy, you are racing tonight.
And you know what? Of course, we got to get the racing puns right out of the way up top. We have got four race car drivers competing on the course tonight.
How do you believe that?
One NASCAR driver, 3 IndyCar drivers.
These guys were challenging each other, and they said that even that they were, the one guy thought that they were teaming up on him.
Right,
so.
as a 3-on-1. Yeah.
Well, I would be teaming up on him too if I had a girlfriend like Danica Patrick. They want to wrestle her away,
Sure.
but we'll see.
And speaking of wrestling, of course, we've got Zach Gowen, our one-legged professional wrestler, competing on the course tonight.
Yes, absolutely. Competing tonight. And tonight was an excellent episode. Enjoyed the whole thing. Time to rock and roll. Let's do this.
Definitely. Let's break down tonight's course. It changes from week to week, city to city. Of course, as always, we start with the floating steps. I mean, really, it seems like week after week they're giving people more and more trouble.
Yeah, and it seems like not just more and more trouble, but they're getting higher and higher.
Of course.
Yeah.
In fact, before we get into the course, tell me you saw the T-Rex running the American Ninja Warrior course.
I saw the T-Rex when I came in here tonight. Marissa, one of the producers, showed it for me. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. They had a T-Rex dressed, the dinosaur dressed full in costume, right? Running the course with these little bitty arms.
And made it really far.
Yeah, it was like, you got to be kidding me.
For having such a gigantic costume with especially such a giant head on it.
Right.
He made it real far.
And he had to make it that far with these little arms like this.
I was not expecting him to get past the Big Dipper for sure.
He lost it on the rings though, didn't he?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, we start off with the floating steps. We get into the rolling log, which we will see does a lot of people in tonight. I mean, just the velocity, the G's that you start gathering as you're going down.
Yeah, down the way. And you know, the reality is I saw that thing and I thought, man, I would not, give me that one challenge, I would not make that. I hate spinning around. When you think about the equilibrium and the balance, and I'd want to vomit after that.
Sure, and you saw people trying to counterspin afterwards to try and kind of get their balance back. Because yeah, that really does a number on your head if you even make it past. From the rolling log, we got the Flywheels. Now they've only got a 1-inch ledge on them. So you gotta jump up, you gotta grab that first one, and it's such kind of an awkward position to really get momentum going.
Momentum and just to hold on for each one. And you know, we saw a lot of people lose it there, and I wasn't surprised to see a lot of people lose it there. It seems that they always have some sort of an obstacle that you have to pass that has that 1-inch ledge. And
exactly.
The rock climbers do really well on that, huh? So we get to see them really excel at that tonight.
Definitely, yeah. From there, we've got the disc runner, which I believe is a brand new obstacle. These discs that, you know, they spin in opposite directions. They've got a post in the middle so you can try to hold on, get your balance.
Balance wasn't something that was easy to keep, though.
Exactly. We really, as we saw, because people didn't really know how to approach it tonight. So as we saw, you had to kind of get at the top of that first disc, make sure you're solitary, make sure you're not going anywhere, and then just kind of skip past the second disc right onto the platform.
And several of them did not make it to the platform. A very select few did, and we'll be talking about that here tonight. Right.
From there, we've got the swinging spikes, which it's these kind of handles that are hanging from these posts.
There's nothing to grab onto on those posts. It just looks like they're just hanging. They're like candles or something.
Right,
They're hanging on a chandelier.
See, our cow milker, our dairy farmer from last week would have done great.
That's right.
But so you're going from spike to spike, and it veers off into two different courses near the end. One goes up higher, but it's a little bit easier. The other one stays level. It's a little bit tougher.
Right. So the tougher one had the wider wingspan, if I'm not mistaken, and the other one you had to, there were more in there, but it was a little bit, but that was tougher in and of itself.
It went up in elevation, so you had to kind of lift yourself up as you went.
So it's damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Right, exactly. And then, of course, after the swinging spikes, finishing off, as we always do, with the brand new warped wall, 14 feet, 6 inches tall.
6 inches that are taking a lot of people out.
Absolutely. We see a lot of people, the people that fail out just barely. They're almost there.
Almost there, but not quite.
First off, let's get into our ninjas for tonight. We've got Brandon Denson, 28 years old, from Ypsilanti, Michigan. He's a high school football coach. Looks a little bit shaky on the steps, but he has an amazing stave on that rope right after the steps.
Absolutely.
See, that's the thing. Yeah, it's not just the steps. You're having to jump onto this rope, swing onto that platform.
And he's swinging on the platform, and I have to say that one doesn't look that difficult. I mean, who am I to talk? I'm a backseat driver, right? Comparatively, oh, come on, that's easy. But after watching this for a little while, it's like, okay, you see that passing those steps is one thing, swinging on the ropes one thing, but when you get beyond that, I think the log is what was taking everybody out tonight.
Exactly.
That was just insane.
Exactly, yeah, and we see his legs kind of drifting farther and farther apart, and as Akbar said, you really have to cross your legs and lock them in around that leg, or around that log even.
Around the log, yeah, so they had to cross their ankles. And it seems that the ones that were crossing their ankles successfully did it almost every time. It was the people that couldn't quite reach around that log to
exactly.
And do it. Yeah,
and not just that, but this is a big boy. This is 240 pounds on that log, and it's like we said, it's generating such velocity.
Right.
I mean, there's really no way.
Velocity and the just the sheer weight pulling on it. To your point, that weight pulling on it's gonna pull you down. It's like every one that we've seen on these courses where if they jump at something and they've got a lot of weight, good luck, because they're gonna have to have a lot more strength in their hands to make it across that, or in this case, a lot better grip. And
exactly.
It's very difficult to do. Yeah.
And not only that, doing this as a type 1 diabetic as well. I mean, as we've talked about, we see people all shapes, all sizes. We'll see that today. But even especially a type 1 diabetic, we saw the.
Now, what was that on him that we saw? It was was patches.
Yeah. That's where the
insulin.
Yeah. That's where the pump goes. The insulin pump.
Okay, so that doesn't mean that he's getting some sort of an insulin feed in the moment. Right. That's just where it usually goes.
Yeah.
So got it.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it.
But yeah, like I said, such a big guy, 240 pounds, and we really, as we've talked about, you really have to have a steady kind of balance between size and strength, but also agility and quickness.
Although I'll tell you what, with the agility and quickness, we got to see in this episode all sorts of things that kind of surprised me. And it's like, so we see the big guys that can move well. We see the little guys that do really well. So it's not impossible to do it, no matter what size. I think we're beginning to find out.
Absolutely. Next up, we've got Natalia Wisniewska from Poland, born in Poland. She's part of the U.S. national kickboxing team.
Kickboxing, I'm glad you wrote her name down because I couldn't quite pronounce that, and I'd have to kick myself in the head if I tried to pronounce that.
We've seen her before. We saw her in 2014 in the Denver qualifiers, where she slipped right off the bat on the steps. Sadly, the same fate awaited her tonight, slipping once again right off the first obstacle.
Yeah, she couldn't fight her way through this course tonight. She got her butt kicked early on.
The commentators mentioned it. She even mentions it herself. She thinks she might just be a little bit too short. She's 5'3". There's a 5-foot gap in between these steps.
I'm sure that the size actually does matter in that case. But when you look at there's other competitors that are doing it. So
right.
So it could just be, I don't want to say it's just a reason or excuse, but it could be a reason or an excuse.
You never know. It's different from ninja to ninja.
Yes, it depends on the ninja.
Let's get into a turkey farmer.
The flannel ninja would have kicked ass no matter what.
Maybe, no guarantees. Let's get into our turkey farmer, Eric Sietsma. from Allendale, Michigan. He says he's got a turkey-made body. That's what I love. I love these guys that grow up on farms and there are so many natural occurring obstacles around them.
Right, that's how
he's darting up and down silos. And...
That's the thing. It goes right back to Rocky. We said this before when he was beating his meat. Oh, take that back. Strike that. Scratch it. He was beating, in the meat. You saw Rocky
Sure,
1, right?
course.
Okay, so you know what I mean.
Of course.
When he was beating the meat inside there, a real tough guy. And so we take this concept. We're taking it to every story. They've all got their story, and this guy just happens to be a turkey farmer, right? I don't know what you can find to get really strong in turkey farming.
And the thing that's absolutely crazy and just like preternatural about this guy is that he's 6'2", but he's got the reach of someone that's 6'10". He's got an 82-inch wingspan.
So his wingspan's huge, and I love that you use the word preternatural. You're the only other person other than myself that I've heard use it, and I read it in an Anne Rice novel. So
yeah,
that's otherworldly ability,
creative writing degree came in handy.
Preternatural wingspan.
Of course.
Love it. And it helped here tonight.
And it's with his height and his limbs, he's got perfect form on the rolling log. I mean, just absolutely, he's one with the log.
He's one with the log. He can wrap his legs all the way around, and we saw time and time again with that log that was the whole key. The more you could lock down and clamp up, the more your chances of success.
Sure. From
lost
there,
my breath.
His form, exactly. It's exhausting just talking.
It
about
is.
This show. From there, his form gets a little bit sloppy on the flywheel, and that is where he loses it.
Yeah.
Like so many other people tonight, loses it going from that first to the second flywheel.
Absolutely, not an easy task. And once again, with his height and with the length of his body, you can only imagine when you go and you take that jump and you got. What is it? One inch?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got 1 inch to hold on to, and if you've got a lot of body weight, it's the impact. It's that first impact that causes him to fall down, and he lost it here tonight. But he was no turkey. He made it quite far.
He did. He gave a sad turkey call at the end, but hopefully we see him back. Yeah. Let's get into our first driver of the night, Joseph Newgarden, 25. He's an IndyCar driver from Nashville. The thing that I absolutely love about this is that my brother is a race car driver. I come from a family that absolutely loves race car driving, and it's a fact that people don't really realize that race car drivers are absolutely athletes.
Yeah, I didn't realize that they're athletes. I didn't know that they went to the gym and worked out and trained, and they really made a point. The first driver that went, talked about the fact that there's no, you don't have hydraulic steering and stuff. You don't have,
power steering, power brakes. Yeah.
You're doing it yourself.
Yeah.
And that's you have that experience with your family? And,
my brother does.
Your brother does.
My older brother does. Yeah, he out in Bakersfield, out in Kern County.
If you're in Bakersfield, you got to start driving fast because there's nothing else to do in Bakersfield. Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, that's what kind of jumped out at me about Joseph Newgarden is that in the off season he's training 5 times a week.
Right.
And so the IndyCar Ninja, as he's called, I love the way he kind of. After the floating steps, he grabs that rope and he kind of almost does like a Tarzan swing. Like he comes around in a big circle, brings him around to the platform. And it's because a lot of people found themselves kind of going back and forth trying to gather that momentum.
Missed the mark a little bit, not have quite enough of momentum. Yeah, we saw that time and time again.
But it was an interesting strategy making that big circle all the way around. It seemed like it worked.
Yeah, it is an interesting strategy. I'm wondering if you remember when you watched the Tyrannosaurus Rex, the T-Rex, let's call it.
Sure.
Did you notice how easy it was for the T-Rex to do the rope? Just like, boom. Ease.
I definitely, that T-Rex, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. Didn't expect him to get past the first step, let alone all the obstacles.
I'm sure you'll find it on YouTube. Yeah, you'll have no obstacles in finding it. It's YouTube, look up T-Rex and American Ninja Warrior.
Sure. Yeah. But Joseph Newgarden, he's got good strategy coming off the steps. Unfortunately, that doesn't keep up on the flywheel. Once again, he's got his arms bent, and as Akbar says, you want to kind of straighten out your arms. You want to hang down a little.
It was that L with the arms that took him down, and we saw it later in the evening as well with the one-legged ninja, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the L that killed them on that.
Absolutely. Up next, we've got Mackay Lake here. She's 21 years old. She's a climbing coach from Chicago. And as we said, it helps so much having that grip. It seems like rock climbers are really, really cut out for a lot of these obstacles.
Yeah, absolutely. They can hold on there. And they, what we noticed is there's always an obstacle. There's almost like there's an obstacle for everybody. The pole vaulters have their obstacles.
Sure.
The rock climbers have their obstacles. Any of those things. And it was beautiful to watch her go through tonight. with the grip that she had, because she did it with such ease and such grace. She made it look easy on the things where grip was what counted.
Right, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. She played baseball for 7 years, but decided, you know what, to hell with that. I'm going to become a world champion climber, placed 5th in the world not too long ago.
Yeah, easy to do, right?
Yeah,
No,
absolutely.
really.
She saves herself after an awkward step on those floating steps. Her legs start whipping around on the rolling log, but she manages to save herself
That's
that close.
amazing.
She comes that close to hitting the water.
She missed it by that much. Yeah, but yeah, no, that's amazing that you could that your legs could fall off, and we saw this a couple of times tonight where the legs did come unglued. And for me, that's the kiss of death. It's over. I'm watching. I'm thinking she's done,
Right.
but she pulls it back around.
Absolutely. And as we saw last week, it's the rule is if any of your body touches the water at all by any inch, you're out.
Yeah, anything at all that touches, you're gone. And we saw that tonight, unfortunately, with one of our contestants they just touched with their feet.
Right.
And the foot's
right.
enough. Yeah.
So it's actually it turns out her height kind of came in handy. She's 5'1". Another inch, she might have been out.
Right. So 5'1". There we go. There's a classic example.
Sure.
The other one was 5'3". She's 5'1", and she made it happen.
Right. I think she's the first of the night past the flywheels, makes it all past the flywheels, but it's right after those discs, after the disc runner, it's the water that gets her.
Right. Yeah.
She makes it past those discs and just her toe barely touches that
That
water.
was just, gosh darn it, you hate to see that happen when it's just a foot. And where she didn't even know, I think. When she came off, she was surprised. She's like, what?
Exactly. During the break, we get one of the things I love. We get Dylan Boxer. He's an orthodox Jew and a groundskeeper, and he keeps his yarmulke on over the course. Not only
That's how you roll.
Not only exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, he keeps it on the rolling log. I mean, just all that velocity manages to keep it on.
That was God's will in play. Yeah.
Ends up losing it on the flywheels once again. After that, we've got the Swedish ninja Leif Sundberg, who also just barely, just like we saw with our last ninja, makes it past the discs but touches the water.
Touches the water. The Swedish ninja becomes a Swedish fish.
There you go.
I like the Swedish fish. Those are pretty
Naturally
tasty. There you go.
Next up, we got James Carter. I love James Carter. This guy, also known as Strong Like James on YouTube. He's the heaviest person they've ever had on the Ninja Warrior course.
My God, this guy was huge. At one time he was 362 pounds. Now he had slimmed up here. What was he? 260.
He's
now?
down to 275 now.
275, but that's still huge. But he moves like a lightweight.
And that's the thing. They call him the mountain that glides because whether you're watching his videos or whether you're watching his run on the course, he's doing things that absolutely no one his size should be able to do.
This guy moves in a way unlike anything I've ever seen. There was actually an old martial artist guy by the name of Moses Powell. I don't know if you know who he is.
Yeah.
He'd do these one-finger rolls, and he was huge like this. He was probably about the same weight, and he would do these one-finger rolls, and it was just amazing how nothing would touch but his finger, and he'd stand up, and it would look so graceful and elegant.
Wow.
And this guy, when he hit those floating stairs,
Yeah. And just, bouncing so quickly.
it looked like something out of a Chinese kung fu movie where they're flying from rooftop to rooftop.
Exactly. But he flies through those steps. But once again, it's the rolling log that gets him. When you're that big and you're that heavy, sometimes you just can't fight gravity.
Gravity took him down, and he lost to gravity here tonight. So the ninja, we could call him the gravity ninja. When he comes back, I'm here for vengeance against gravity.
Exactly.
But he could. I noticed it didn't look like he could cross his feet around the log. Did it?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that might have done it.
If he had done that, he probably would have been able to make it. But still, the weight just took him down. Yeah.
Sure. Next up, we've got Christie Pratt, the machine, straight out of St. Louis, Missouri. She's a personal trainer. She's also the one that did an entire obstacle course wearing her wedding dress at her own wedding.
That was fantastic. Yes, she's wearing the wedding dress. She's going through the various obstacles and stuff. She was doing a salmon ladder in her wedding dress. This is great.
Once again, the rolling log it gets so fast, and that whip, the whip action is once your legs start coming off.
I don't know if it's even pleasant to make it on the rolling log, because when you make it, it just looks like it spins you out and spits you
Exactly.
up, and it looks horribly dangerous.
Sure. So yeah, her legs start to come off. She barely makes it through. We find out that she spends 20 hours a week doing obstacles.
Oh my God, 20 hours a week.
It's literally a part-time job for her.
Doesn't that make you feel bad about yourself?
Right? It's like, I'm not doing shit with my life, guys.
Your life is fine. Relax. It's going to be okay.
Gotta start doing more obstacles.
The flannel ninja can make it. You know, you're gonna make something of yourself.
She barely makes it through the flywheels. She's the first of the night past the disc runner, and I love right before she gets to the swinging spike, she's kind of like, she's visualizing it, and I'm imagining her like Neo in the Matrix, where like everything just becomes like code, and she's just visualizing everything.
Well, I mean, when you're in that zone, that's what they talk about. Everything else disappears, and that's all that exists.
Right.
And although I don't know if she was feeling like Neo at the moment, she's got to be pretty darn focused. Though.
Sure.
I love the Neo Matrix reference. Yeah, I'm gonna imagine the same thing.
So she grabs onto that first swinging spike, but as we saw in the replay, she looks away for just a split second, and that's all it takes.
That's it. It's like the lack of belief. When Neo didn't believe he was the one,
there you go.
He lost it.
Right.
She's just a shred of incongruence, and it takes you down.
You got so far, but yeah, you take your eye off the ball for a fraction of a second, and that does you in. Mm-hmm. During the break, we get the Mohawk Ninja. We get Wesley Owens Jr. He's a dancer, got a lot of energy, big charisma. The flywheels once again do him in.
Yeah, he danced his way through this course, but didn't quite make it all the way to the end. He was, what do they call it? He was dipped into the water gracefully. Yes.
There you go. We've got Alex Benz, our high school teacher, who just makes it almost gets up to the warped wall, ends up failing. And then we've got Charles Kim, a tech consultant. He loses on the swinging spikes, but he ends up proposing. She says yes. We've all got a happy ending anyway.
Yes, a happy ending, so you get it all. Yeah.
Let's talk about Drew Knapp. You can't stop Knapp.
Yeah,
I love this guy.
The good story, good backstory. His younger brother, of course, had cancer when he was young, and they started training together for the American Ninja Warrior, and it was in that training that the younger brother was able to find his sense of self, to overcome his own challenges, and to see his older brother going to compete in his name. And gosh, this guy was ripped.
Absolutely, it was definitely.
God.
And both of them, during that training montage beforehand, both of them can do absolutely incredible things.
It's insane, including the younger brother who had the cancer. So it's really neat. Yeah, and he wants to compete too, right? When he's old enough.
Right, when he becomes 21, he wants to compete.
You see, I didn't realize there was a 21-year-old cutoff.
I didn't either, not until this episode.
So we learned that tonight.
But Drew Knapp, 21 years old, straight out of Green Bay, Wisconsin. He's a state gymnastics champ, which you could definitely tell on his run through the course. He's got great form on the flywheels, on the disc runner. Before that, just absolutely darting right through the floating steps.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean,
like it was nothing.
Great time. Makes it past the swinging spikes. He's right up that warped wall. Makes it look absolutely effortless, and he is the first of the night to finish.
2 minutes.
With a handstand, no less.
Oh my God, he comes up the wall, goes onto a handstand. See, this is where, and you see a couple of people do this, like they'll do a handstand at the top. The one guy hangs by one arm at the top and waves to the crowd. I don't know that I'd be doing that. I think I'd be saying, thank God, like doing everything I can to make sure that I don't blow it at the last minute.
Oh my God, how awful would that have been if he did the handstand and ended up tumbling down?
Be terrible.
We're glad he didn't.
Suck.
Let's talk about Darren Witherspoon, 51 years old, auto worker straight out of Detroit.
Oh, he's great.
I mean, this guy... He's doing back handsprings at 51 years old.
Shocking! Like you can watch. This was in his video. His what do you call it when you give the video? It's your submission video, I suppose.
Sure.
So he's doing the back handsprings in the park, and he looks like a young guy. He's 51 years old. I mean, more power to him.
And just straight up, he works in an auto factory. He
changes doors.
He puts together doors for Ford F-150s for a living. He's expected to make 483 doors every shift.
Oh my God.
So and we saw it just from the arms on him, that he's not only got the speed and the agility, he's got the strength as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We see a lot of that here tonight. And of course, Akbar had to say he's built Ford tough.
Of course. We find out that he was a 100-meter champ. Of course, that was in the 80s, but still 100-meter champ.
Very relevant here tonight. He did fantastic.
Sure. Makes it all the way way up to the Flywheels, ends up losing, but what an incredible showing.
Amazing job he did, and they'll be showing that video for years and years and years in their family.
Oh, sure. Let's talk about Jake Murray. He's a wedding photographer out of Denver, and this guy is a character.
Oh, isn't he?
Like the definition of eccentric. He's the eccentric ninja.
Is that what they call him?
No, that's what
you're calling him. So the flannel ninja has dubbed you eccentric ninja. Free spirit, they said. He definitely has that. He's all over the place. He's dancing in very unusual ways, but boy, did he make this course look like a breeze.
Absolutely. And yeah, he's not only having fun, making a show out of it, but he's making incredible time while he's doing it.
I mean, insane. He had the best time of the night, I believe, or one up until this point.
Up until the very, very end, I think. Yeah,
he had to check for the wind.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just flies through the floating steps in 4 seconds flat. He was a walk-on for 2 seasons, just finally got his invitation, and I mean, just the disc runner, the way he tackled the disc runner is what really jumped out at me.
Insane. I mean, there was no thought to it, or there was a lot of thought to it, but so much so that you didn't see it. That's true expertise. And you said he finally got his invitation, and it was well deserved.
Exactly. Yeah. It makes it through the swinging spikes, makes it up that warped wall, finishes in 2 minutes. Just an amazing run.
And so that was an amazing run. What came up next?
We've got Andrew Rue Yori up next.
Okay, I like this guy.
This guy's awesome. He's the K9 Ninja, 39-year-old lab technician from Rochester, Minnesota. Now I didn't realize this was a thing, but of course it is. Him and his dog Wallace, who is a saved pit bull,
right?
A world champion frisbee dog team.
Who would ever think a world champion frisbee dog team?
But it's awesome to watch.
No, it is. Yeah, he said, I just noticed the dog liked to catch frisbees, so he starts throwing the frisbee, and they go on to do that. What was more, equally impressive to me was the fact that he had taken on one of the rescue dogs was from from
Michael Vick's dogfighting ring. Yeah, Hector. He's the second dog that he took in, who's now an actual official therapy dog.
How amazing is that?
It's such a great story.
Much better life for the dog, therapy dog.
Sure, exactly. But the K9 Ninja, during his training, we find out at one point hit his head, got a severe concussion, had to take 6 months off of training.
It happens too. I mean, sometimes you have injuries. It takes you out in any kind of sport that you're in.
Absolutely, and concussions are absolutely something you cannot take a chance with.
Taking a chance. I mean, when you heard that, did it make you want to take a chance and actually train for the show, or did it dissuade you in any way?
It depends on what kind of training. Maybe stay low to the ground. Maybe wear a helmet.
Maybe we could wear a helmet. Did you see Johnny Knoxville in what was that show?
Jackass?
Not in Jackass, but he did the movie with the Ringer.
Oh, The Ringer.
Did you see The Ringer?
Of course. Absolutely.
So, I think we'll have to, if we wore helmets, we might be able to do this. But
sure.
Being taken out for 6 months, I actually stopped and thought about it and thought, boy, would I want to train for this if I could fall and have that kind of injury?
Right.
But now that I come to think of it, you can get injured doing that. I mean, I do jiu-jitsu. I know you're a wrestler. I've been taken out for 6 months before.
Absolutely.
It happens.
Absolutely, yeah. I love Andrew's, or Rue, as he's called, Rue. I love his form on the disc runner. He uses that center post and almost kind of catapults himself.
That was fantastic.
To the top of the disc.
Yeah, no, that was very cool.
Because, we find out that, it's best if you're at the top of the disc and then you just kind of skip past that second disc. But he's using kind of the momentum, almost pole vaulting himself to the top of the disc so that it doesn't spin and throw him off balance.
And off balance, that's the problem that people were having right from the beginning. So once again, it comes down to them having seen all these people go through it and developing a strategy to make it across effectively, because they said once again that nobody had a chance to practice this one.
Right.
This was brand new. So if, when you've seen 3 or 4 people go, you got to think that the people at the end of the show have an advantage, and it surely played in his favor here tonight.
Definitely, yeah. Everyone that we see make it up the warped wall, usually it seems like they just fly up, make it look effortless. This is kind of the first competitor that I've seen. He made it up the wall. It looked like he barely made it by the skin of his teeth.
Right, he clawed his way up, they said.
Man, it was absolutely incredible.
He was dogged in his approach to get all the way up to the top of the wall, and it paid off.
Sure.
Yeah, he did it on his 3rd try, didn't he?
Yes. Yeah.
So 1, 2. What were you thinking on his 2nd try?
Oh my God, I never know what to think if they take multiple tries, because I think if you're going up that first time, you've got to just expend all your energy. You've got to make that first strike count. So that second one, I'm always
you
worried
feel like
about that
maybe
one.
he lost the energy that it would take to get up, and then you see he doesn't make the second one. I was thinking he wasn't going to make it, and son of a gun, he did it.
Yeah.
The dog made it to the top.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 28 years old, NASCAR Rookie of the Year from 2013, our only NASCAR driver of the night, other three IndyCar drivers. And yeah, we talked about
So it's NASCAR versus Indy here tonight,
Exactly. Coming to us from Olive Branch, Mississippi, slips a little bit on those floating steps, ends up saving himself. But it's that log once again that just does him in. We find out he's got his eyes closed the entire time on the log.
And that's what Christine Leahy asked him, like, I noticed you had your eyes closed. Right. Would you do that if you were driving? And you gotta hope his answer is no to that question.
When you grab hold of that log, I totally understand. You gotta just shut your eyes and just pray.
Take him for the ride.
Just hold on for dear life.
And hope you see. I'm still sure. Like if that thing dumped me off, I'm sure I'd be throwing up.
Right.
I wouldn't be able to hold my lunch if after that thing. It looked very rough.
Next up, we've got Fred Thorn from Lincoln, Nebraska, part of Team Thorn. His wife, Maggie, we saw her in 2014 as part of the Denver qualifiers.
Fantastic.
Absolutely love when it's like a family of ninjas.
Yeah, this is very cool. And it sounded like he had married her after she had done American Ninja Warrior.
That might have been the case.
Huh. Yeah, but really cool.
Yeah, it's after he goes through that log roller, it looks like he kind of just takes a second and just really has to gather himself, which I absolutely get.
Spin cycle.
I mean, yeah, like, really. I would just be like, guys, give me a second. Can you come back to me?
Yeah, coming back. I think that this was the toughest course that we've seen yet. Would you agree?
I think so. I think so, definitely.
Just with just with that one thing, I think it would take a lot out of you.
Right.
To get spun around, spit up, and thrown out.
Exactly. But he ends up making it all the way through. Just absolutely leaps off of the disc runner, makes it up that warped wall on his very last try.
Very last.
And just absolutely. Awesome run.
Absolutely.
Love seeing a fellow ninja cheering him on.
Oh, I thought you said as a fellow ninja you'd love seeing that.
No,
the flannel ninja. As a fellow ninja, I love seeing that.
I'm a ninja in theory.
Up here. A theoretical ninja. The theoretical ninja. That's what we'll do. But to see the other ninjas cheering you on, you know that they really, this is kind of what's cool about this sport. You don't see them trash talking each other. You see them really really cheering each other on.
And it's all a big team effort almost.
And everyone, it seems like they're dedicating their run to someone or something that's worthwhile, someone or something that's meaningful to them, and I think everybody can get behind that.
Sure, definitely. Yeah. During the break, we see the shortest man to ever finish the course at 5'1", Tyler Yamauchi, blazing through the course.
And he's sprung up at the end. He's just
exactly
goes up the warped wall, pops up to the top.
Yeah, we talked about unique finishes on that wall. We see also PJ Granger just hanging from one arm once he gets up to the wall. I mean, just that's confidence.
That's the way he turns around, stylish. It was like the break dancers when they pose. You know, it's like here, I'll pose right here.
Exactly. Next up, we've got our one-legged professional wrestler Zach Gowen from Livonia, Michigan. Now, I have been very familiar with Zach Gowen.
I asked you
as Matt Eisman, Akbar say. He's been in the ring with Hulk Hogan and John Cena and Vince McMahon. I mean, he was in the WWE for a couple of years.
So in WWE, and of course you do the show, but you've been on their payroll for a while, haven't you?
Not WWE.
Oh, WWE. Who are you with?
Just various independent promotions.
Okay.
I'm with Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. Watch on Saturdays, 4 p.m.
There you go.
Got it. Free plug.
Shameless plug, and it just flowed just like that. And so you've been wrestling for a long time.
Yes. Yeah.
And so you were aware of this guy coming in, and when he was in the ring with these people, they said he was in the ring with Hulk Hogan. He was in the ring with Brock Lesnar. Did he fight them?
Piper
Does that mean he fought them?
Yeah.
No kidding. How do you do against those guys?
He would throw these drop kicks that were, just perfect form. Yeah.
Speaking of perfect form, I mean, like this, he was jumping off the ring when we saw the video clips. And slamming them down, doing things that I would not consider to be even possible for a person without.
No, he's an amazing performer. At one point, he was known as Tenacious Z. Started wrestling under his own name, did a stint with WWE, and apparently he's still at it, which is awesome to see.
Wow! So he's still doing it.
Yeah. So, but now what I thought was interesting is that on that starting platform, he's got his prosthetic leg, takes that sucker right off.
Pulls the sucker off. Yeah.
and decides to go at the course with one leg.
Now, I know they said that they've had people that have had prosthetic appendages before. Do you know if they've run with their prosthetic on, or if they took it off, or how they did it?
I'm not sure. I think this might be a first. I think this is the first time we've seen a one-legged ninja actually do the course on only one leg.
If you're watching, and well, of course you're watching. Tell us. Let us know if you know that they've done it without the prosthetic.
Right.
I want to know. Type it in on YouTube there. And by the way, get our podcast on iTunes as well.
There you go.
Give us 5 stars.
5 stars if you're nasty.
Yeah, if you're nasty. Yeah, you're very nasty. That's what I like about you. How nasty you are.
Really.
Yeah. We lost our other co-host. He was too nasty.
We did. Sadly, Alexander had to bow out of the show.
The ninjas got him.
He's with us in spirit.
Yes, they took him to Nanda Parbat, and he battled Raza Ghul, and
there you go.
He was killed.
He was killed. R.I.P. Alexander.
Okay.
But yeah, Zach Gowen makes it so far on one leg, just bouncing from step to step.
Yes. Weren't you shocked when you watched that?
The steps, I was like, okay, I could see the steps. Yeah. I did not think for a second he would have made it past the log.
Neither did I. The log, I mean, it seems impossible.
There's no way for him to hold on to it.
Yeah, because you got to cross your legs once again. It seemed impossiable for the one-legged guy to hold on, but he used his leg.
Yeah.
He used it like a rudder almost, but not through the water.
Well, and it seemed like he got his body up on top of the log to kind of slow it down a little. And that's really what seemed like saved him.
That was insane. It was amazing. And, and they flash back to his story saying, I'm an example of possibility of what you can overcome, of what you can do when all the odds seem against you. So that was pretty amazing.
Absolutely. Next up, we've got Michael Stanger, 32 from Fruita, Colorado. This just an absolutely heartbreaking but simultaneously inspirational story. His wife was diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which means her joints are prone to just slipping out, and his 2 daughters afflicted with the same condition.
Can you imagine?
But for them to put on such brave faces, and for him to go through something like this and to do it with such energy and such tenacity.
Yeah.
I mean, when it could be so easy to just sort of give up in a situation like that.
For sure. But and once again, you got to imagine that the strength that he demonstrates in going through this it pales in comparison with the strength that they've had to have throughout the courses of their lives. With being afflicted with this.
Exactly, absolutely. Yeah. And I think, when we get stories like that, I think that's kind of the narrative that's really telling itself, is the fact that they're doing this just to kind of try and show some of that strength and really make it symbolic for the strength that their spouses or their family members show.
And because we don't think about that ways, we don't think that they're showing strength themselves when they go through this, but it must take amazing amounts of strength to be afflicted with some form of dis-ease that causes you to be able to perform at a fraction of what most people do.
Sure.
And you're facing that on a daily basis.
Absolutely. He almost loses it on that log roller. He's another guy that kind of uses that catapult method on the discs, but just right after the disc, he falls out of bounds on the dismount, which is, once again, so heartbreaking to see people lose on technicalities.
Right, exactly. Little things will take you out.
It's stuff like that, you almost start seeing it in slow-mo. Like, you see it start to go, you're like, no. Sally, ends up falling out of bounds. But, I mean, just, like we said, the passion and the energy that he and his family show, I mean, just everyone's a winner after something like that.
Absolutely. It's all about the story.
Definitely. During the break, we see the Towers of Power. These two firefighters, Dan Polizzi and Brandon Mears. Dan Polizzi finishes, and Brandon Mears, not to be upstaged, finishes 5 seconds faster. I love these guys.
I love it anytime you pair a couple of guys together that are roommates or that are, they got to show each other up. They can't be outdone. Yeah.
Of course. We see our final driver, or no, our third driver rather, of the night, Tony Kanaan, former Indy 500 champ, but it's the log that does him in. We will see our final driver later on, Helio Castroneves.
Raced it to the log, didn't have the fuel to go the distance, though.
Right.
Yeah. There were no pit stops on this, except there was a permanent pit stop off after the log.
In fact, it is Helio Castroneves who's up next.
There you go.
We find out he's 40 years old. He's a 3-time Indy 500 champion and a former Dancing with the Stars winner.
They go hand in hand, right?
Just a Renaissance man, really. Shoes fly off on the log runner. We saw that a few times tonight. The log roller.
So
rather.
I didn't know to call them twinkle toes or what.
Throws them back on, but once again, it's that second flywheel going right from the first to the second. Just right into the drink.
Couldn't make it all the way. Yeah, that's he went he did a good job though. He ran a good race, made it through. Didn't look like he was going to make it a couple of times there, but good on you.
Next up, we've got Meagan Martin, who is absolutely one of our fan favorites. I mean, you know, she was the first woman up the devil steps, first woman up the jumping spider in courses past. I mean, she's another climbing coach. And just absolutely an incredible athlete.
2 times up the warped wall. This is her 3rd time that she was shooting for you.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is you think a lot of these people must cross train. I know they train specifically for Ninja Warrior,
sure,
but they're training in parkour and climbing and all sorts of things. I mean, it's kind of like the CrossFit of CrossFit might prepare you best for something this.
That's true.
With a combination of parkour and different types of things.
Right. I think it was even Ricky Stenhouse that had a CrossFit gym in his garage.
Right.
I mean, it's like you said. It seems like there's a different obstacle for everyone.
Yeah.
So training yourself
for their specialty.
Training yourself, in a wide breadth of disciplines and of skills could really prepare you for something like this.
God, I can't even imagine the training regimen that goes into it, and then the like you said, the cross discipline focus that has to be there in order to really make it all the way through the course.
Right. But like we said, it's the climbing that I think might really lend itself the
We've
best.
seen that a couple of times here tonight.
She's 5'3", but she's got incredible upper body strength. Tonight, no woman had made it past the 5th obstacle up to this point, and she's just absolutely making the course look easy. I mean, such huge momentum on the flywheels.
Yeah, no, she's absolutely fantastic, and we were waiting for her all night long, right? They set it up right from the beginning.
They were really pushing it, pushing it. On the discs, on that disc runner, it's those little blocks in between that almost slipped her up.
Yeah,
because you really, you're trying to get yourself stationary, you're trying to get yourself to stop spinning, but there's also this block that's kind of getting in between your feet.
Right there, I mean, I think the key on that one is to stay steady at the top, and as soon as you find that balance point, move over quickly, because if you miss it on that first step, it's going to start to go again, like that first block.
Exactly. Past that, she gets to those swinging spikes, and I love that dismount. She kind of twisted 180 on the dismount.
Make it look easy.
Just gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Gets to the warped wall. She has a nasty spill that first try. Almost thought, and like we said, once that first one is out, that's what kind of worries me.
It makes you wonder, and then what's worrying is what it does to their psychology too. It's not just about did they blow everything they had energetically. It's like, what about their psychology? What are they thinking now?
Exactly. But on that second try, she uses those arms, uses those shoulders, just muscles herself up there. She becomes the second woman to make it up the warped wall this season, and the very first to make it up 3 years in a row.
Wow, record-setting show.
Just absolutely. I cannot wait to see how far she makes it.
Oh, it's gonna be fun.
As we go to the city final.
I mean, you saw even was it Casey that had gone viral?
Yes.
You saw even she was there rooting for these people as they're going off.
Oh, definitely.
Really neat to see.
Watching her during Zach Gowen's run was absolutely. I mean, she was pulling for him as hard as anyone.
Yeah.
During the break, we've got Dr. John Murray Adams, an optometrist from Kentucky, done in by the swinging spikes.
Eye doctor could not see his way through to the end.
Did not see that coming. But, we talked about Meagan Martin. She's part of the Wolfpack training team, and 2 members of the Wolfpack during this break. Ian Dory finishes up that wall, but Brian Arnold finishes with a top 5 time.
There you go.
And
on the break even.
With that, he knocks the machine. He knocks her out of the top 30.
How much, we were saying just before this started, doesn't that suck?
It's so hard.
Because you're in the top 30 and you get knocked out because on somebody on a break.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. Finally, our final ninja of the night, we've got Lorin Ball. He's a gym owner, and the absolute speed and agility he completes his course with is inhuman.
Inhuman and preternatural even.
Right. Preternatural, yeah.
But once again, you're left with the notion that these guys must save the best for last.
Of course,
You know?
of course,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, because they make it look like it's nothing.
Right. When they throw out that palm healthy run of the night,
Yeah.
that's always near the end of the episode, that's by design.
You got the crescendo. It's going to, you're a writer. You took that course.
Of course.
It's got to climax in the right way.
Exactly.
And and another one that made it look easy was the T-Rex.
Of course.
T-Rex
of
made it
course.
look easy.
We find out Lorin Ball has competed in every season of American Ninja Warrior before.
Now we're on 8 now, yeah?
We're in season 8. Yeah, season 8, episode 3. So that's a lot. That's a whole lot.
That's a whole lot, but it's a whole lot of competitions that also keep a goal out in front of you, keep you in great shape while you're training and while you're working for it
Right.
and working towards something. It's a lifestyle for some of these guys.
Absolutely, yeah. It makes it past those discs, saves himself, and makes it in the absolute fastest time by far at 1 minute and 36 seconds.
That's insane, by the way. 1 minute and 36 seconds compared to the 2 minutes that we saw early on.
Right.
And those 2 minutes, they weren't they weren't taking their time. It wasn't a stroll in the park. They went
Sure.
quick.
Absolutely.
To think to beat it by 30 seconds, that's huge.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of amazing competitors that made it tonight, that'll make it onto the city finals. 25 finishers tonight, so they did have to dip into some people that lost, but that got the furthest along.
And we still lost the machine, though, didn't we?
Still lost the
still
machine.
lost the
Yeah,
machine.
it was Brian Arnold knocked her out of the top 30. Hopefully she won't quit trying. But yeah, I'm definitely.
Hopefully she doesn't blow a gasket.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see in how people like Meagan Martin, like Jake Murray, how they fare as the courses progressively get harder and harder.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And our eccentric ninja was
Eccentric ninja, so eccentric,
We
but
named him
so
ourselves.
efficient.
Yeah,
Exactly.
eccentric but efficient.
Exactly. Next week we will be in my birth state, Oklahoma, for the OK City qualifiers.
No kidding.
Absolutely,
Your home
yeah.
state. Wow.
And we've been talking a lot about Casey Catanzaro. She will be finally running next week.
Oh.
We'll also see Lance Pekus. We'll see Daniel Gill. We'll see a lot of good action.
A lot to look forward to. A lot of action to look forward to next
Definitely.
week. Yeah, for sure. And by the way, they also announced tonight the beginning of Spartan, or on Monday night, the beginning of Spartan.
There you go.
Which was directly following America Ninja Warrior. And,
Sure.
So they must be tied together. I mean, they're on the same network, but Spartan is team obstacle courses.
Exactly.
And, were you able to watch it or no?
No, I haven't caught it just yet.
Yeah, we're going to have to watch that
You
one.
got to
'cause it's-
think, if you're a fan of Ninja Warrior, you'll absolutely love Spartan. So
Gotta
go
check it
check
out.
that out.
Yeah.
For now, that's our show, guys.
That's we're sticking to it.
If
That's all we
you're
gotta say.
sticking with us this far, we definitely appreciate it. Like we said, if you're on iTunes, download, comment, review, subscribe, rate 5 stars if you're nasty. As always, if you're on YouTube, leave us a thumbs up, leave us a comment, find us on Twitter, Instagram. You love Ninja Warrior, we love Ninja Warrior. Let's love it together.
In
Chris
a nasty
Howard.
way. In a nasty way. What's that mean if you're nasty? when
If
you
you're
say that?
nasty, like Miss Jackson, if you're nasty.
Okay,
You know,
all
it's
right,
just,
I'm just trying to break
a
it
thing.
down.
Just a thing. Chris Howard, where can they find
If you're
you?
nasty, you can find me on Twitter at Chris Howard Live, Instagram, same thing, Chris Howard Live. Also, go to legendarylivingdaily.com and get, I send out a daily inspiration thing. It's really cool. And legendarylivingtv.com for my YouTube channel. And over to my lovely but brilliant lead host.
As always, I am Ty Matthews PMA on Twitter, on Instagram, on Snapchat, and really any sort of social media. You can find me there, Ty Matthews PMA. That's positive mental attitude. Let's keep that going. Find us on iTunes, find us on YouTube. You can find me on various other after shows, including Monday Night Raw, Houdini and Doyle, and Lucha Underground. Ultima Lucha Dos is right around the corner. What else? We talked about Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. You can find that Saturdays, 4 p.m. on U2 America, Fight TV, Tough TV, KDOC. Check your local listings.
God.
It's all over the place.
Where is it not?
Get some wrestling in your eyes. You love wrestling. I love wrestling. Of course we all do.
Let's wrestle.
But for now, guys, we'll be right here, same time, same channel, talking episode 4 from Oklahoma City. But until then, peace.
Peace.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you
Buzz you
later.
later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.